When Dana Marscz didn't make it as an actor...
I'm having a herpes outbreak, but you never know it.
He became passionate about teaching.
Theater has the power to transform the audience.
And discovered...
I kicked this trash can.
He wasn't very good at that either.
I've been praying for more racial understanding, but I still get anxious around ethnics.
Just because they're Latinos doesn't make them gangbangers, got it?
We're just coming together as a class.
Is he acting?
No, he's not that good.
Mr. Marks, could I have a minute?
The school board decided to cancel drama.
We need to save drama.
Put on a play, make it the best you've ever done.
We're working on an original play.
What is your problem, man?
It's done.
Hamlet 2? Doesn't everybody die at the end of the first one?
I have a device.
The time machine opens, revealing Hamlet and Jesus!
Good luck.
Thanks, Jesus.
You got my cell number?
Yeah.
Okay.
The musical accompaniment to our play will be provided by the Gay Men's Chorus of Tucson.
Just a steel town girl on a Saturday night.
Because of its unwholesome content, school cannot allow the exhibition of Hamlet 2.
You can't stop art!
You have Satan French kissing the President of the United States of America.
Cricket Feldstein, we have a First Amendment case on our hands. No one is shutting down this play.
You have no ID, your badge isn't visible, and you accidentally grazed my boob when you tried to walk past me.
Yeah!
What's really going on here?
Jesus is sexy to you, which leads us on to the musical interlude, Rock Me Sexy Jesus.
Vamos al infierno pa' esta madre.
Steve Coogan, Catherine Keener, David Arquette, and reintroducing Elisabeth Shue as Elisabeth Shue.
I'm actually a nurse now.
Oh my God, I'm freaking out!
Hamlet 2.
It was dramatic. It was visual.
It was stupid.
It was stupid, but it was also theater.
That's cool.
Hi, welcome to Movie Numbers. My name is Bob Sham.
Hi, I'm Angela.
And what a month it's been.
Mm-hmm.
No more awkward laughter to the flop after this episode moving forward. This is it. No more awkward laughter to the flop. Yes, all month long we analyzed some comedies that came out that didn't really hit it at the box office. They underperformed. This movie underperformed by about, according to Wikipedia, about $4 million. And this was in 2008 too, so I don't know if rentals were going as strong to compensate for that. And I don't know what their marketing was. I remember we saw this back in the day.
We did.
And we thought it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I still think it's, for the most part, enjoyable. But I'm kind of surprised that this one didn't become
more of like a culty.
A little more culty.
Yeah.
Steve Coogan, who stars in this movie, he's a beloved. I mean, he's beloved in England. He came up at the same time as a lot of comedic comedians and actors. He was around that Chris Morris orbit shit. Simon Pegg, yes, that guy. He's like in the class of those dudes.
You watch British films at all, you've probably seen at least one of the Trip movies.
Yeah.
Those are really popular.
We've seen the first one, road buddy comedy. The first Trip I recall being pretty good. It's been a while since I've seen it. But he created a character called Alan Partridge who appeared on radio and had a show.
I love the Alan Partridge show.
I think he's Knowing Me, Knowing You, right?
Yes.
Where it was
it's all ABBA music all the time.
I think that was the first televised Alan Partridge, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we watched that forever ago and like really enjoyed it. And I think Steve Coogan is very talented.
Absolutely.
But around 2008, he made a movie, or starred in it, directed by Andrew Fleming, that takes place. It was shot in New Mexico, but it's supposed to take place in beautiful Tucson, Arizona.
Yes.
About a sad drama teacher. Yeah, we're talking about the film Hamlet 2 from 2008, our final awkward laughter to the flop discussion for the month before we move on. Directed by Andrew Fleming, written by Andrew Fleming and Pam Brady, starring Steve Coogan, Joseph Julian Soria, Catherine Keener, David Arquette, Elisabeth Shue, Amy Poehler, and many, many more. It's a strange movie in a lot of ways, and it kind of answers the question, can something be sad and funny at the same time? Because I felt like there was a deep underlying sadness throughout this whole movie that kind of stands out compared to so many of our other features. That may explain why it didn't settle into people to be more of a conversational cult classic amongst folks. I think that is the element that kind of like fucks it up in hindsight. Maybe in further time, we get further away from it, people revisit it.
There is a redemption at the end, but it's very short at the end. And the thing about this whole movie is that Steve Coogan's character is someone who desperately wants to make and be part of good theater, but he is not a good actor, and he knows it.
Yeah, he does.
He tries to put other people forward, and he tries to create things that he thinks are really good, but he's not personally talented.
His characterization is so clear. He's coming from this looming father figure. He's so apparent despite we never see him. Yeah. Because he's a kid from Manitoba who wanted to be a big actor, and it didn't work out. He was abused as a child. And his father did not support him. And he's in a marriage with Catherine Keener. Great pull there.
Yeah, but she drinks a lot and is very sarcastic and obviously unhappy with him and the fact that they are living there, because she wants to be in California, like they were, because he was doing commercials and stuff, but then they had to move to get this job
to be a drama teacher in Tucson. And there's not many of these scenes, but there are scenes of her just totally just tearing him apart and calling him pathetic and just hitting it hard where they're out drinking.
Careful, Bree. You know how you get.
No, Dana, how do I get? Please tell me how I get. No, see, I got you. I totally got you.
Okay, she got me.
And they have a roommate named Gary, who's played by David Arquette, who maybe says 5 lines in this whole movie.
At the very end of, he's always there. He seemingly gets on Catherine Keener's nerves, but every time she's making fun of Steve Coogan or making fun of Gary, he thinks she's just being funny.
Yeah.
He sort of takes it all as, it's just her dry humor. We're so in love. She's my wife.
You know how she gets when she drinks.
And he's sober.
He's 7 years sober.
Seriously wish you would start drinking again.
Bree, I would never judge you.
Good, because if I had to give up booze, I'd blow my brains out living in this shit sack city. Anyway, to Dana. My husband. The fuck was I thinking? I'm just kidding.
Their relationship is interesting, and she wants to have a kid. And,
they've been trying to have a baby.
And Catherine Keener, you could tell that she's regretting her mistake, but she's trudging through. And you can see it coming a mile away that their roommate that she acts like she hates is going to get her pregnant, and she's going, you see that coming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we first meet Gary, Steve Coogan's character of Dana Marscz.
It's Marscz, by the way. Marscz, yeah.
Marscz.
Comes up. You almost expect Dana to be the roommate, just the third wheel in the house of Catherine Keener and David Arquette.
Yeah, they look like they're together, and then he walks out in his underwear.
Yeah.
Like a fucking mess, and you think, he's the roommate, but
no. He's her husband.
It's obvious to everyone except him, I think, and it's one of those things too where when the school tells him that the drama department is going to be cut at the end of the year, and he goes home and tells her, and she's like, thank God, finally. It's just, she doesn't give a shit about him or what he wants to do.
This movie's just about sunk cost fallacies here.
Yes.
And relationships, in drama programs, in pursuit of acting.
His thing is that he doesn't put on actual plays. He does dramatizations of popular movies.
This year's Erin Brockovich accomplishes something quite astonishing.
It manages to make last year's production of Mississippi Burning look sparkling by comparison.
What about the acting?
It is perhaps best not to mention the acting.
He only has 2 kids in his class. This little girl who
is she's racist.
She's very annoying.
Very
and she
religious,
goes from
but racist
to all the way at the end. She's stealing televisions, but she has She has the highest, weirdest arc. And then the boy who is the love interest in Pitch Perfect is in this movie. And when I first saw this movie, I didn't know who he was. I actually enjoy Pitch Perfect. I think it's a really fun movie. His thing is that he does not realize that he's gay. By the end, he admits that he's bisexual or bi-curious.
Right.
But that's kind of his trajectory, is like being comfortable with his own sexuality. And that's, again, everyone can see that in him except for him. All the other programs that are art-related got canceled. They were all doing like music or ceramics or art.
A lot of these other kids end up attending the drama class because there's really nowhere else to put them. And they tend to be more of the Latino, like more of like the makeup of the area of Tucson.
Yeah, it's like the only elective that's left in the whole school, which is interesting that they would wait to the end of the year to cut it.
So the movie's kind of like clowning the concept of the white savior teacher trying to reach these kids, because Coogan automatically sees himself as that potential, even though they have no respect for him whatsoever.
Well, he comes in the second day and he's like,
I rewatched a fantastic movie last night, Dangerous Minds, starring the gorgeous Michelle Pfeiffer. Give me a little insight into your character, Mr. Tough Guy.
He's wearing these loose garments that look kind of like dashikis because his wife lectured him on not wearing corduroy while roller skating in the Tucson sun because you're going to cook your sperms because they're trying to make a baby. So he's wearing these loose clothing, and he'll like, what happens in this class is ridiculous. Like there's fights, people are getting hurt. That racism is happening right in front of everyone.
Blatant.
He's moving around and they can see his dick and balls. And yet everything is just kind of dealt with in the sphere of the class. You would expect there to be a lot of consequence to all of this stuff, but it's just kind of like stays within the orbit and is dealt with within the orbit of this classroom.
100. And it also doesn't take that long for him to get on their good side to a point. They still fuck with him, but you can tell they like him and they will listen to him. And he actually gets them up on stage. It's not like they're being like, fuck off, I'm leaving. Like, they're participating.
Well, he has to come up with an idea that isn't derivative of a movie. So instead of just having them do an existing play like every high schooler would do, he wants to be creative. So he gets the creative juices going and he decides to write a sequel to the William Shakespeare play Hamlet.
Hamlet 2?
The Deuce, correct.
Doesn't everybody die at the end of the first one?
I have a device.
The time machine door
That's the device.
opens, revealing Hamlet, Gertrude, Polonius, and Hillary Clinton having what appears to be group sex.
It's about my troubled relationship with my father.
There's this little kid critic that trashes all his movies, and one big reason why the drama department is endangered at the school is because his plays are not good.
Right.
So this kid's always trashing him, but this kid character, he's the critic. He ends up kind of standing up for him, and when he's trying to do more original concepts or is trying to go against a school board system, he is still supportive of him, even though he's like, you know, you probably would have done a lot better with this department if you actually just had them do plays.
Yeah, he actually gives him a little bit of the inspiration. He's like, you know, yes, writing something original is at least something new from you. It's not like regurgitating these movies. And then, yeah, so basically the school finds out that there's a lot of very sexy stuff in this play.
Yeah.
We don't really find out what it all is until we watch most of the play at the end of this movie. My favorite part is watching the play.
Well, actual Hamlet ends and a lot of the characters dying.
Well, but so the premise is Hamlet gets a time machine and can go back and save everyone from dying. But within that, there's like hand jobs and sex.
Nudity and pornography are not permitted on the school premises.
There's no nudity or pornography. It's minimal.
You have Satan French kissing the President of the United States of America.
It's a parting embrace before the moment of damnation. A climax of a modernist dance. I think when all is said and done, you will find it quite moving.
Trust me, I won't.
That's what the board is upset about. And so then, yeah, they say you cannot perform at this school, and they kick them out. They were already performing in the freaking cafeteria while the ladies were getting ready for lunch or practicing. So they get this warehouse, and they are moving on. Amy Poehler is their lawyer from the ACLU.
Once the news gets out that they're being censored or something.
Yeah, and that's when the kid is like writing these articles like, why is the school board trying to censor art? They've already taken it out of our schools, and now they're trying to take down this artistic endeavor.
There's this one character is played by Joseph Julian Soria. We discover later his name is like Octavio, but for the movie, his teacher thinks his name is Haywood. His name is Haywood You Blow Me because he's so naive. But he gets the lead. He gets to play Hamlet. And of course the news of this play starts to go around, and it kind of plays with this stereotype in which his parents take him out. So he's like, I want to go talk to the parents. So everyone's assumption is that this rugged little kid is going to be from like a broke neighborhood. No, his parents are like lawyers and art curators and shit.
You can't let your ethnic narrow-mindedness stop your son from thriving in our culture.
I have to take exception to that characterization.
Haywood's a bad boy. He's a gangbanger, a deadbeat.
But he also has a gift.
Who is Haywood?
Your son, Haywood You Blow Me. Oh, I just got that.
So
the father's an author, and the mother's an
he's
artist.
Written books, and she's an artist. So this kid who's presented like some thug, he goes to his house, and his parents are actually super well-to-do and very creatively successful.
And it's not that they don't want to support the arts; they don't want him to be in such a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
And Steve Coogan truly is like, give me your opinions. What do you think? Like, I would gladly take your advice on this. And eventually the dad just says, I'll let him choose. And he wants to be in the play.
And Octavio is giving him a hard time, but Dana does successfully get them excited to work on a drama project.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. His name's Dana.
Yeah. Dana Marscz.
It's Marscz, by the way.
Marscz.
Yeah.
Marscz.
Because he gets Hamlet and our pitch perfect boy is Laertes, a lot of his lines get cut, and so he quits.
Also, he makes his character like bi-curious, which upsets him.
Not acceptable. I quit.
Oh, man, you can't quit now.
Thought you'd be more comfortable.
In this sexuality, and he's like, what are you talking about? So he's the one that snitches and hands the play off to the
principal
administrator. But it's kind of just a matter of time. Like, so they get kicked out of school, and there's a lot of politics, but a lot of buzz around this Hamlet too. So they find this place in which some guy is not using this space, but it works perfectly. This warehouse with a stage
way cooler.
Set. And even though the local community parts of it, they hear that Jesus is going to be in it, they think it's going to be sacrilegious. And Catherine Keener also leaves Dana at one point, and he ends up relapsing. So he thinks his life is completely over. He shows up at the venue just hammered. But the students are there, and they're like, no, you actually succeeded.
We're sold out.
Making us give a shit.
We want to do this.
We've sold all the tickets. It's going to be a line out. We can't even accommodate for everyone.
They got the football team to be security. Like, they had it all under control. News outlets were coming.
Yeah.
He had no idea any of this was happening, but these kids handled it all. It ended up being really cool. People walked out the whole time, and there were definitely people trying to shut them down, but two of these guys, and I think there might have also been like a gang who was also doing security, because they said at one point it was like the football players and somebody, but these guys get the administrator and like drag him in and sit him down and sit on either side of him and make him shut up and watch. By the end, he identifies with it as well, because his father abused him.
Well, we finally get the performance of Hamlet too. The movie does succeed in making this climactic point the most entertaining part of the movie.
It is great. Oh, Elisabeth Shue!
I'm sorry to be so forward, but you look a lot like my favorite actress of all time, Elisabeth Shue.
Yeah, I am her.
Yeah, but you really look like her.
Well, that's because I am her.
Oh my God, I knew it in my heart soul.
Oh my God, I'm freaking out! Ah!
Elisabeth Shue has retired from acting, and she is decided to be a nurse in Tucson at a fertility
clinic.
Just a random bit of thing. So she's hanging around playing herself and ends up kind of connecting with the lead character. And as Catherine Keener exits his life, by the end, of course, you predict that Elisabeth Shue is going to be in a relationship with him because it's very tacked on, but he does become successful.
Well, and what I loved about her in the whole scene where we're watching the musical is that she gets it.
Yeah.
And it was genuine. Like, stuff was happening, and it was like the things that we were laughing and cheering about in the movie, she's the one laughing and cheering about them.
And also, there's another point where he brings her to the class to do questions, and this is totally like Elisabeth Shue just kind of making fun of herself and her career a little bit.
Because this is post leaving Las Vegas.
Because not even that far removed from, wasn't she in Mysterious Skin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie was only like a few years before this. Though not really a very good movie, but not one that really just blew up.
Yeah, she played the mom.
Saw. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the kids have no idea who she is.
Who are you?
Oh, come on! Could you not even Google her? The Karate Kid! The Crane! Wax on, wax up! Soap dish! Dreamer with the fucking horse! Any of that shit ring a bell?
So she has to kind of explain that, but she's also very nice with them and like one girl's like,
I just want to say I think your makeup is pretty.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
One goes, what do you miss the most about acting? And she was like,
you know what I really miss about acting? I miss kissing in love scenes. I had so much fun making out with all those cute actors.
I would love to stay and hear this.
Yeah, I think if I had one complaint about nursing, it would be that you don't get to make out with your patients.
And she and Steve Coogan almost kiss in that scene. There's
funny.
Like this moment. So you know, but I just adored her in this.
So Hamlet 2 goes down, and we got a lot of fun, great, original, silly songs about Hamlet time traveling and meeting Jesus. And there's a song called Rock Me Sexy Jesus.
I want to party with you, Jesus.
Rock me, sexy Jesus. He died for our sins. You gotta believe us. Rock me, sexy Jesus. All night long.
It's like all about how Jesus has a hot surfer bod and shit like this. But the Christian groups go up to the front to protest, and then they realize like, oh, Jesus it's still the message that we support. Jesus is just hot and being presented in a modern context.
And they make this point in the movie, and it is absolutely true. If Jesus was real and really came back to Earth, anyone was going to know about him, and people weren't just going to think he was a crazy guy on the side of the street, he would have to have like a PR person handling him as though he were a rock star.
Well, he wouldn't have one. They'd put him in an insane asylum. But
this is true. But I'm just saying, if there was a way to make it work,
if he picked the perfect type of apostles as his PR.
Turn the other cheek is really showing class, but I really think it's sexy when he kicks Satan's ass. Kick Satan's ass. Kick Satan's ass. Rock me.
Octavio was playing Hamlet, and through the story of Octavio going back and trying to save his father, or Hamlet trying to save his father, it's a parallel to the character of Dana, his relationship with his father, and him having to forgive his father. While so much of this movie is both genuinely pretty funny, but also weirdly sad, the sentiment of the final play does kind of come through. As goofy and corny as it is, it does have this weird air of sincerity about it at the same time.
When I think of those East End lights, muggy nights, the curtains drawn in the little room downstairs.
Jesus, come on! Coming!
Prima donna, Lord, you really should have been there.
You ready? Yeah! Oh, we go. 33 AD. Got it. Hold on. Okay.
absolutely.
And they use that Elton John song that's like, Someone Save My Life Tonight.
This is an original work that that Dana has created, right? But he does still pull from movies, because you've got the whole Bill and Ted's time machine, going back, meeting Jesus. He doesn't pull other people, but he does pull Jesus, right? There's that. There's also the end bit where Hamlet's talking to his father, and it's a huge face on a screen like Superman. You know, there's these images that do kind of go in line with things you've seen before in movies that are like big kind of iconic, you know, things that are like culturally just in our brains.
He's still got those influences.
Yes, and yeah, you're right. They're singing popular songs, but often changing the words to those songs. It's very cute.
Yeah, it actually is very entertaining, as I think they did pull off the revelation of the actual show itself. I would love to actually watch the full rendition of Hamlet 2.
Absolutely.
I wonder if they probably didn't write an actual whole 3-act play, right?
No, but they probably did all of those scenes and songs. They probably had entire songs.
What's her name that did Ishtar? She would have made them do
Elaine May.
Elaine May. She would have made them do the whole performance. That would have been great. But yeah, Hamlet 2, he does become successful, and Hamlet 2 goes to Broadway, and he maintains the integrity of the show by keeping the original cast.
So all the kids get to be in the show.
I kind of still like this movie.
I love it, actually.
And the tone of it can feel a little dark in a certain way. This character is genuinely sad.
I think that's what, at the end of the day, makes me love it more. If it was just funny, I might be like, oh yeah, that was fun, fine. And I didn't remember how dark it was from when we saw it originally. And I guess maybe it just hits harder now that we are middle-aged. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just that idea of this man kind of being at the end of his rope and throwing a Hail Mary, and he actually ends up okay. But didn't you feel at the end that he's still kind of acting?
Yes.
It was still very, and it's his character, it's Steve Coogan, but it was very and now I'm the New York man with Elisabeth Shue on my arm. Wise, as though he knew this was going to happen all along.
And I think, like with any comedy, or most comedies that are trying to hit joke after joke, there are a few points that don't seem to hit very well. I feel like there was these small moments of physicality with Coogan that were a little hit and miss. But for the most part, I feel like this is unique enough that it kind of barely gets over the finish line in a lot of ways. I think it deserves a little more commendation than it maybe gets out there. It's just, like we said, it's just not one that people are talking a lot about.
Yeah.
But I think there really is something to this movie that is kind of unique. I still like Steve Coogan quite a bit.
Yes.
So that is Hamlet 2 from 2008, directed by Andrew Fleming. Not perfect, but at the same time, unlike anything else we discussed this month.
Yeah.
In terms of movies that flopped. And so you're going to give 1 through 5. I'm going to give 1 through 5 combined for best out of 10. I think I'm going to give it a 3.75.
I'm going to give it a 3.25.
So that makes it a solid 7. I think this really is a solid 7 movie.
Yep.
Take a look at the scores at a 7. It's a solid 7. Resting comfortably between Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and Love Actually, the Richard Curtis romantic classic. Also sharing the rankings with Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, Captain Blood, and Barbie.
Nice.
Yeah, it's at least as good as those movies. There's something about the 7 category. I feel like there's something very respectable about the 7 category. Definitely. Here. These aren't blow your fucking mind movies, but there's something about the 7. I might with our rating, and this might, I don't mean to be confusing when I say this, but there are some times where a movie that when we really analyze it, it hits a B. But I would probably rewatch it more than a lot of A movies.
1,000%.
For sure.
Yes.
So it's just, there's a difference between what you think about it technically and where it can hit on your heart. Because there are movies that we love that probably cross the spectrum here.
Absolutely.
Except if I'm saying it's a D or an F, though.
No, that's not. Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah.
But even a C sometimes.
Sometimes we sometimes we love a C.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But it just is what it is. We got to be honest about it.
Oh, I'm sad.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the end of
we're not going to be talking
funny
about
month.
Any more comedic flops, but it was a lot of fun revisiting a lot of these movies. But coming up next, as soon as I think tomorrow, we will be doing back-to-back Lars von Trier movies because it's the year of von Trier, in which we're going to be discussing a dozen Lars von Trier movies before the end of the year because the year's going to suck. So just let's make it suck harder for ourselves personally by watching a dozen Lars von Trier movies and getting even sadder. But we're doing 2 back to back because of our themes. We will be, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but next month will be Star Wars month. We'll be talking about all the trilogies. And then after that, movies are gay. So the categories are going to be taken up. So the next time we come back to Lars von Trier, it'll be a couple of months, and we're going to be hitting up back to back once again. So it'll all work out. But before we discuss the Star Wars movies, this Friday, we'll be doing a movie review 6-pack in which we're discussing other epic deep space fantasy movies to get us juiced up and prepared for Star Wars month. And I'll go ahead and tell you what movies are going to be on the 6-pack. The first 2 Avatar James Cameron movies, Dune and Dune Part 2, and Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. There's 2 of those movies out, and we're going to watch them on Netflix. And we're going to be discussing them. We're going to cram the discussions for these huge movies into 10-minute chunks each. And you don't really need that long to discuss some of these. But I was surprised at some of them. And at this point, we haven't watched them all quite yet, but we will. And then, so if you want to know what we're doing, Part 2, a lot of people talking about it. So if you want to know what we got to say about it, just watch the 6-pack review at the end of this week. And then after that, it's Star Wars, in which we give the final word on what you should think about Star Wars movies. All right?
For the last time, justice for Ishtar.
We've all gone crazy lately. My friends out there rolling round the basement floor.
You know, Hamlet, you must forgive your father the abuse you suffered. You know, sometimes even I feel like my father's forsaken me.
Really?
Good luck.
Thanks, Jesus.
You got my cell number?
Yeah.
Okay. My dad finds out what I've been up to. He's gonna crucify me.